average, not forgettable, but truly transformative, then listen carefully. Because the difference between a great year and a wasted one is rarely intelligence, talent, or even effort. It comes down to something far simpler and far more controllable: structure. Most people wait for motivation. They hope they'll feel ready. They hope the mood will strike. They hope inspiration will show up like a visitor knocking politely on the door. But hope is not a strategy, and inspiration is a poor manager. The people who win do not feel their way into action. They act their way into feeling. Every January, millions of capable people make the same mistake. They start with enthusiasm instead of design. They promise instead of planning. They rely on emotion instead of systems. And when emotion fades, as it always does, the year quietly slips through their fingers. I don't want that for you. I want you to look back 1 year from now and say, that's when everything changed. Not because life became easy, but because you became intentional. Before you rush forward, you must look backward. Not to punish yourself, not to dwell, but to learn. You don't need a list of regrets. You only need one. The one that still tugs at you when things get quiet. The project you didn't start. The relationship you neglected. The habit you allowed to decay. Write it down, not in your head, on paper. When something hurts a little, it has your attention. And attention is where change begins. Then do something most people never do. Ask the right question. Not, why am I like this? But, what did this teach me? Every regret carries instruction. Every mistake leaves a trail of wisdom if you're willing to follow it. Extract the lesson, then design a small, specific action you will take early in the year to ensure you don't repeat it. Not someday. Not when you feel ready. In January. Put it on your calendar, protect it, and then let the regret go. You don't carry yesterday into tomorrow. You carry the lesson and discard the weight. Now let me ask you to do something unusual. Step into the future. Close your eyes and imagine the year has ended. It's the final day, and the thing you cared about most didn't happen. Not because you failed spectacularly, but because you drifted. You got busy. You postponed. You assumed there would be more time. Ask yourself, honestly, what went wrong? Was it lack of planning? Lack of structure? Lack of accountability? Write it down. Because problems you can name are problems you can prevent. Most people wait until things fall apart to analyze why. The whys do it in advance. They identify the traps before stepping into them. If you know that unplanned time disappears, then plan first. If you know that motivation fades, then build routines. If you know that isolation weakens resolve, then invite accountability. You don't need willpower, you need foresight. Design the year so the wrong choices become difficult and the right ones become obvious. Next, give the year a direction. Not a dozen resolutions, not a long paragraph, one word. A single word that becomes your compass. A word that represents how you want to live and who you are becoming. When distractions multiply and options compete, that word brings you home. It cuts through noise. It simplifies decisions. When you're unsure what to say yes to, ask whether it aligns with that word. When you're tempted to drift, return to it. Then break the year down. A year is too big to manage emotionally. It overwhelms the mind. But 90 days? That's workable. That's visible. Treat the year like 4 focused seasons. Each one with a clear emphasis. Each one with a beginning, a middle, and an end. At the end of each season, you pause. You review. You adjust. You recommit. Progress loves short feedback loops. Momentum grows when the finish line is close enough to see. Now that you've built clarity, it's time to build structure. And structure, properly designed, doesn't restrict freedom, it creates it. The first structure you must protect is the first hour of your day. That hour sets the tone. It programs the mind. And if you hand it over to noise, urgency, and other people's priorities, don't be surprised when your day follows the same pattern. Guard that hour. Use it for what matters most. For thinking, for creating, for strengthening your body or your mind. That hour belongs to you. Handle small tasks immediately. If something takes only a couple of minutes, do it. Don't store it in your head. Don't let it linger. Small, unfinished tasks create mental drag. Clear them quickly so your mind remains available for deeper work. Light days are not accidental. They are maintained. End your week deliberately. Don't collapse into rest. Close the loop. Review what you did. Decide what matters next. Prepare for the coming days. When your mind knows there's a plan, it relaxes. Rest becomes restorative instead of restless. Recovery fuels performance. And once a week, pause again. Look at what's coming. Decide what deserves protection. Decide what can wait. Decide what must be removed. This small ritual changes the emotional quality of your life. You move from reaction to intention, from chaos to command. Prepare your environment in advance. Success is not about heroics. It's about arrangement. Place the tools where you'll need them. Remove friction from good habits. Add friction to the bad ones. Don't rely on strength. Rely on design. The environment always wins. And every day, step outside and move. Motion clears the mind. Nature restores perspective. Ideas breathe better when the body does. Schedule it. Treat it as essential, not optional. This is how a strong year begins. With clarity, with structure, with intention. Not excitement, not pressure, but design. Let's keep building, because once structure is in place, the next question becomes this. How do you keep showing up when the novelty fades? Because it will fade. That's not pessimism, that's reality. The new notebook gets old. The excitement wears thin. The calendar fills up. And this is where most people quietly quit. Not loudly, not dramatically. They just loosen their standards a little. Then, a little more. And before long, the year looks exactly like the last one. So now we talk about fuel. Not hype. Not slogans. Fuel. The kind that lasts. Here's a truth most people never learn. Growth does not feel good in the moment. Improvement is uncomfortable. Progress often feels like incompetence. And if you're waiting to feel confident before you act, you'll wait forever. The people who grow fastest live in a narrow band where they're doing well most of the time, but not all of the time. They succeed often enough to stay encouraged and struggle enough to stay sharp. That's the sweet spot. That's where learning happens. If everything you're doing feels easy, you're coasting. You're repeating what you already know. And repetition without challenge does not lead to expansion. On the other hand, if everything feels overwhelming, if you're failing constantly, you won't last. You'll burn out. You'll retreat. So the goal is not perfection. The goal is calibrated difficulty. Adjust the challenge so you're stretched, not snapped. Winning 8 or 9 times out of 10. That's where skill grows. And here's what you must understand. When you're in that zone, it will feel uncomfortable. Your mind will say, this isn't working. Your emotions will say, you're not good at this. But those signals are not warnings. They are indicators. They are evidence that you're learning. Discomfort is not a stop sign. It's a mile marker. It tells you you're on the road. Most people misinterpret discomfort. They think it means danger, failure, or incompetence. So they retreat. The disciplined reinterpret it. They say, this feels awkward because I'm doing something new, and they stay. That's the difference. Not talent. Tolerance. Tolerance for the feeling of being unfinished. Now let's talk about willpower. Because it's been oversold, willpower is unreliable. It fluctuates. It weakens when you're tired, stressed, hungry, or distracted. And if your plan depends on willpower, your plan is fragile. The smarter move is to redesign your environment so the right actions happen with less resistance, and the wrong ones happen with more. You don't rise to the level of your intentions. You fall to the level of your environment. So look around your life and ask 2 simple questions. What behavior do I want less of? Make it harder. What behavior do I want more of? Make it easier. Put distance between you and distractions. Put convenience between you and your priorities. Don't argue with temptation. Outmaneuver it. Now let me give you something subtle but powerful. Don't announce your goals to the world. That often satisfies the ego without requiring the work. Instead, choose one person. One. Someone you respect. Someone who will ask, not encourage. Someone who will say, did you do what you said you would do? That quiet accountability creates a social contract, and human beings are wired to honor those contracts. You don't need a crowd. You need a witness. One person who knows what you committed to. One person who will notice if you drift. That alone dramatically increases follow-through. And while you're working toward big goals, don't ignore small progress. Motivation doesn't come from the finish line. It comes from movement, from evidence, from proof that today mattered. So, at the end of each day, pause briefly and acknowledge progress. Not perfection, progress. 3 small wins. That's enough.